All right, guys. In our second video about word problems, we're going to be working with just money problems. Now, there's two different types of money problems, and so you want to make sure that you know which type you're working with. And again, if you printed out the worksheet, this is the second page of the worksheet. It says money for both of them. Okay, so we're going to start with a total amount, and I called it a total amount because they told you that the total amount that they spent, and they told you the total amount of things that they purchased. Okay, so they're telling you how much they purchased. In these problems, your X will be how many of a thing that you got, and your Y will be how many of another thing that you got. So again, potential things could be the amount of children's tickets that you purchased and the amount of adult tickets that you purchased. How many hot dogs you bought and how many hamburgers you bought. How many popcorns you bought and how many sodas you bought. And so it's how many of a thing that you bought. Since we are solving for how many things we're buying, all of these answers have to be whole numbers because you can't buy a half a hot dog. Okay, so make sure that you're only getting whole numbers for this type of problem. When you're writing the equations, we're going to write them in standard form. One of them will be your money equation, where you literally just write out any number that had a dollar sign next to it. It all goes in that one equation. And so you need to make sure that you remember what your X and what your Y stand for. So you write the correct number next to it. So if children's tickets cost $2 and X was for children's tickets, then you put 2X, right? So this is how much each cost, how much it costs, and how much total money that you spent. Now for your second equation, they're going to tell you how many total things you purchased. In that equation, you're just going to put one number. So don't forget, in our first video, we talked about how you should only use each number once, and you don't want to repeat the same number if you've already used it. So in our second equation, it's literally just going to be X plus Y with no numbers in front of them, just X plus Y. And then it equals the total amount of things that you purchased. And this should be the only number from the word problem that doesn't have a dollar sign next to it, okay? So you have a money equation where all of your money numbers go, and then your second equation is always just X plus Y, and then the number that didn't have a dollar sign goes in that equation. Because of these being written in standard form, this is going to be set up for elimination. So you would probably multiply the second equation by something to eliminate, all right? So let's take a look at our example, which is on your paper. It says, at an all-you-can-eat barbecue fundraiser that you are sponsoring, adults pay $6 and children pay $4. If 212 people attended and you raised $1,128, what is the total number of adults and what is the total number of children? So again, just make sure that you start by deciding, that adults is going to be X and children is going to be Y. So you make sure you have the correct numbers with the correct variables. And so that when you're done and you get what X and Y are, you remember which one is which. You'll remember, oh yeah, X is adults, because you're writing me a sentence, right? So you're saying there were 20 adults and 10 children. And you don't want to switch that up because then you got the wrong answer. All right, but let's just focus right now on writing our equations. So in this problem, one equation is going to have all of our money. So it's going to have the 6 and the 4 and the 1,128. So if it is $6 for adults and $4 for children, that's going to be 6X plus 4Y, because I said X is adults and Y is children. And then it equals the 1,128. You don't have to write the dollar signs in the actual problem. You just need the number part. For the next equation, I'm just going to put X plus Y. I don't want to use the number 6 again, and I don't want to use the number 4 again. I've already used it. And then it's going to equal this number. This is the only number without a dollar sign next to it. So it's going to equal that 212. So X plus Y equals 212. This is how you set up this problem. And again, you can use elimination to solve it. For our final type of problem, it's also a money problem. This time, however, instead of finding out how many of a thing we are purchasing, we're going to try to figure out how much does it cost to purchase that thing. So in the previous problem, it told us how much it was to buy one adult ticket and how much it was to buy one child ticket. In this problem, that's actually what we're going to be solving for. And so that's what your variables are going to represent. Your X is going to represent the price of one of the items, and then your Y would represent the price of the other item. Since X and Y are referring to price or money, it is appropriate to get decimal answers. So you could get like $7.50, right? So it doesn't have to be whole numbers for this type of problem. Decimals would be appropriate. Similar to our last problem, we're going to write everything in standard form. In these problems, usually you're just going to read a sentence and write an equation, and then you'll read the next sentence and write an equation. They will normally tell you, like, you bought 5 of these things and 4 of these things, and it cost this much money. So you're going to have how many you bought, and how much money you spent. And again, usually all 3 of those numbers will be in a single sentence. So you read that sentence and then you write an equation. The next sentence will probably be very similar. Instead, I bought this many, and this time it cost me this much. So again, all of your numbers come from a single sentence. You'll have an amount, and it'll equal a total money. Okay, so again, standard form. And similar to our last problem, this is set up for elimination. So from here, you would eliminate. Let's set up that last example. So this one says a hotel offers 2 activity packages. One, oops, that's a typo. One costs $192 and includes 3 hours of horseback riding and 2 hours of parasailing. And then the second one costs $213 and includes 2 hours of horseback riding and 3 hours of parasailing. So those are the 2 sentences where we're going to get our equations from. So let's go back and read the first one again. One costs $192. That's the total. So that's going to go over here after the equal sign. It includes 3 hours of horseback riding. So let's go ahead and make a decision right now. Horseback riding can be X and parasailing can be Y. So 3 horseback and 2 parasailing, 3X plus 2Y, and I spent $192. And then the next sentence, very similarly set up, it says the second costs $213. That's your total over here. And this one costs or has 2 hours of horseback riding. Horseback again is X, and 3 hours of parasailing. So parasailing we decided was Y. So that'd be 2X plus 3Y equals 213. So those are my 2 equations. Again, in this problem, we're solving for how much it costs. So we're going to figure out how much does it cost for 1 hour of horseback riding, and that would be my X. And then how much does it cost for 1 hour of parasailing, and that would be my Y. This is the end of our notes. For your homework tonight, I do want you to keep going and actually solve the problems. So, and it says it at the top of the worksheet. On your homework, you need to define your variables, you need to write out the equations, and then you need to keep going. You need to solve the equations and write me a nice sentence answer. So make sure that you're doing your homework completely and not just setting up the problems. This was also our last section for this chapter, so we'll spend the rest of our time reviewing.